I half expected Gandalf to talk about the whole Smeagol finding the ring in the River Anduin and the whole Smeagol Deagol confrontation and how he found the ring and how it ended up in Gollum's hands. Obviously, that
Right.
was the reader got all that information in Shadow of the Past. But I'm wondering if Tolkien ever debated in his mind, like, oh, should I tell that story in the Council of Elrond or should I tell that story in the Shadow of the Past? And I'm also almost thinking, like, because it really fits, it would have fit really well in the Council of Elrond to tell that story, right?
Yeah, but I
But
think he
but
made.
the Council of Elrond is already so long that I'm thinking
Yeah,
Tolkien probably just wanted to. It also fits in the Shadow of the Past, so
yeah. Well, let's talk about Gollum for a minute, since you kind of brought Gollum up.
sure,
Okay, the elves like took Gollum outside so he can climb a tree, right?
bad move.
Right. But let me ask you this: what did Gollum hate more than himself and Baggins? He hated sunlight and he hated moonlight. He hated all light,
It was the
right?
sun mainly that burned him,
Yeah, yeah, but he didn't like the moonlight either, but he could
right?
tolerate it. But yeah, he just
Yeah.
liked complete blackness. But isn't that weird that he would be outside in the fresh air? I mean, when did they
Well, I
take
mean,
him
he was
out?
doing it to escape, though.
Right, but they kept doing it though. It was like it wasn't like, "Oh, we're gonna take you out and put you in this tree or let you climb up this tree." It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he seems to
I don't
like
think
this
he
tree."
particularly liked to climb trees. It's probably, he's used to being underground. He probably just did it as seeing it as his only means of escape.
But again, he had a band of orcs from the mountains, probably from Moria, right?
Yeah.
So here's my question though. Why? Why would they free Gollum? Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's a good question. Um, maybe they thought he would lead them to Bilbo or to Frodo or to the ring. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
he served no purpose as a captive.
Why rescue him? Why not just kill him? I mean, why did he turn him loose? It's like, why did he let him leave Mordor? I mean, I understand
But
that it was
didn't he
probably to
leave?
fight Baggins.
He didn't. I mean, he was imprisoned in Mordor.
Right.
He wasn't released from Mordor out of pity. He had a
No,
mission.
no.
Sauron thought that Gollum would lead him to it, or
Right, right. Because
lead his emissaries.
honestly, honestly, let's face it. The ring race, not so good at capturing rings. You know what I'm
Finding,
saying? I mean, come on. They were literally like 4 feet from from the ring, and they're like, "Oh,
and they're
okay,
like,
let's."
oh, thwarted again.
I know. It's like, how hard would it have
Sorry.
I mean, how hard would it have been on Weathertop to take the extra 2 seconds, like, ring, and just, like, then, like,
I mean, Frodo was
you know,
totally outnumbered
deuces.
too.
Yeah, I know. It's not like they had 5 of them up on Weathertop. It's not like, they couldn't have grabbed the ring, and just split. I mean,
Right. I
it's
mean,
that.
you'd think that at some point, like Sauron would be sitting there in in Barad-dûr, like,
Like,
God
you
damn it, like
what's wrong with you people?"
throwing his scepter down and being like,
You know?
if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. And he like rides off
Okay.
to like, I'm gonna.
So I was like, "All right, which king of Angmar? Let me get this straight.
You were
You s
inches
you
away from the ring.
you stabbed the miscreant that had my ring, right? You stabbed him.
This little fella,
This little fella is probably comes up to your kneecap, right? And then you buggered off
and then you buggered off.
without the ring. Okay, what step am I missing here?
I
I mean,
mean, the real reason is Isildur's heir had some flaming brands that he
right,
whooshed
yeah, the
around
real
in his
reason,
face a little
yeah,
bit. But come on,
I know.
but
But
that's there again. There were 5 of them.
I know, it's like, check this out. "Hey, you 4,
Deal
Isildur's there.
deal
Go
with this
go and fight
guy.
him. Deal with this guy.
I'll get little fella.
Right. What's he gonna do? Put on your clothes. Once those robes are gone, just you know. I mean,
It's just
if
I mean,
if
they're
the
already dead, right? They're undead.
that's what I'm saying, man. If the what do you call it? If the Elrond's Ford, yeah, Elrond drove a Ford. I don't know if you knew that. If the Ford of Rivendell, like didn't like kill him and just like unhorsed him, and they got like what's this guy gonna do? The only thing I can think maybe is that like they couldn't actually handle the ring without like they needed a what Frodo did. Like basically, if Frodo would have became a ring wraith, then they would have just kind of carried him, like let him carry the ring to Mordor, But anyway,
Oh, that they couldn't touch the ring
they
themselves?
couldn't touch him. Yeah, that's like
Well,
maybe that was it.
they could put Frodo in a bag.
Yes, they can tie him up,
They could
you
just put
know.
him in a bag and carry the bag.
Yeah, but isn't I mean again,
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, But
it's a little weird. The other weird thing
right.
I always thought that like, okay, so they're at the ford, and a ford by nature of being a ford is quite shallow water.
Like when they were on when they were going to the ford, they had a fair lane right across.
They
Sorry.
had a fair. They were in a Ford Fairlane.
They had a fair lane to the ford. Anyway.
That's a good one.
All right,
Do you
anyway.
think? Do you think Elrond ever drove his Chevy to the levee and found it dry?
Now, man, he was a Ford guy.
Okay.
Jesus. All
Okay.
right.
Anyway,
Okay, go ahead.
but my point is, it being a fair lane of a ford, rather
Right.
shallow. The idea that all these ring wraiths would be swept away by this current,
But the ring race didn't get swept away by the current. What got swept away were the horses
the
and
horses.
and their garb, because really they can't do much. Again, I don't know what the physics are of the spirit world of the Lord of the Rings, but I got to imagine that there has to be some kind of. I mean, look, they've got to have some kind of physical shape because Eowyn was able to chop into the Witch King. So there's got
Right.
to be something where there's a physical form that you can't see that got swept away, right? I mean, it's
Right.
got it, right? Okay.
Yeah. They're not immortal. You could do damage.
You can do damage, but I mean, they're pretty damn near close to immortal, But
Right. They're
that being
undead.
said,
Undead.
So Gollum climbing
Okay,
up a
so back to
tree,
Gollum.
back to Gollum. Yeah, but it's just weird. But don't you think? Okay, so like I was reading over again like these parts, and they're like Gollum refused to come down out of the tree one day, and then the elves didn't want to climb back up. But how long were they going to leave him like up in the tree? It's like there's got to be a time where it's like you little bastard, we're going to come up and get you, so you might as well,
Right. I
And it was like
mean,
well after dark.
they could have thrown rocks at him.
They could have just chopped the whole tree down and been
They
like,
could
you
have
know
chopped
what?
the tree down.
Like you lost your tree
I
privileges,
guess here's the
buddy.
thing. It's like when a stubborn golem refuses to come down from said tree,
Right.
that in and of itself does not sound like that big of a problem. Because where can he go? He's just like, oh, okay.
You
You're
can
up
go
in the
to an
tree.
end.
You want to hang out in this tree. I don't understand that, but you're a weird guy. We'll let you stay up there as long as you want.
All
But
right.
little did they know that they were going to be attacked and that Gollum was going to be rescued from them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying though.
So
That's
maybe they weren't aware. I mean, they could have chopped down the tree. They could have shot him with an arrow, but they
right,
probably
right,
weren't
right.
aware of
No, they
the
weren't gonna.
danger
I
that they
don't.
were facing.
I don't think they would have been like unkind to him. I mean, they probably would have climbed up, but the point is like there's a few logistical things that I'm trying to figure out. It's like one, again, was it because he climbed up the tree, or were they like, hey, like whoever he was talking to, right? I mean, like how do they get a message to Gollum?
He never specifies, but it was like, oh, Sauron has his spies all over Mirkwood.
Yeah, yeah,
You can
yeah.
imagine a ton of different spiders, bats, moths, anything might have been like,
Right,
hey,
right.
get ready.
Yeah,
Tonight's the night.
and really, I'm nitpicking.
Speaking of Gollum,
Yeah.
Famously, Gollum always called the ring his precious, right?
Oh,
Oh,
dude,
were you going to talk
I've
about
got
precious?
dude, that's what was my next point.
Oh, that's how convenient.
That's my next point. It's fortuitous that you would bring that
Very
up.
fortuitous,
Great
indeed.
minds must think alike. Isildur wrote, "It is
Yes,
precious to me."
it is precious to me.
Yeah,
And
um,
then
and
one other
Gollum,
person. Okay,
Bilbo, and Saruman
Saruman.
said that it is a precious thing. There's
Yes.
so my theory is the ring's name is Precious. The ring
Ta-da!
the ring refers to itself as precious because that's its name. No, I don't know.
Right, right.
Um,
Well, first of all, obviously Tolkien deliberately does this because
right,
every time you say the word precious, it's like a red flag goes up and says, "Okay, this fella is under the influence,
right,
the negative influence of the ring. They're being
right,
swayed by
right,
the ring.
right.
Their will is being swayed by the ring." So that happened to Gollum, obviously. That happened to Isildur. That happened to Saruman, right?
Yeah,
Every time they say it's precious,
like
it's just a red flag. I mean, Tolkien does not use words as a linguist and a scholar. He does
right,
not use these words lightly. And in fact, he puts so much kind of emphasis or pressure on that particular word that it's actually. I mean, first of all, I looked it up in several kind of dictionaries, etymological dictionaries,
hmm
and the word's been around for a long time.
right, right,
And in the 17th century or whatever, it was used to describe precious metals, right? But it
right.
actually said that since the Lord of the Rings, that word precious is usually used. I mean, not usually, but
To
often.
describe evil rings,
It's
right?
often well, yeah. I mean, it's often used with an undercurrent of like a Tolkien reference,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, you like cupcakes. Are they precious to you? Like, are they this thing that you're addicted to? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of the addiction thing. But not only that, there's more. So the
Okay.
etymology, and again, as a linguist, I think Tolkien um, would have, especially because he was so keen on using that particular word.
Yeah.
I think he was aware of the etymological origins of precious,
Right.
and something very interesting about that word because I looked it up, and precious. You think that, oh, this something that's precious is valuable, right? And if you
Right.
look at the etymology, it goes all the way back to Latin, right? But once you go back to Latin, it's the sense of the word precious. It's not just valuable; it's also costly.
Ah.
And the word
Okay.
costly, or the expression or the sense of costly, can also be a negative thing. Like, this
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
absolutely.
costly. So it's
Yeah.
like it's something valuable, but it's also costly. It extracts a cost on you,
Right, right.
and and that is exactly the sense that I think Tolkien wanted to convey, and it's why it's so brilliant that he should use that word, because it's something valuable, but it actually takes a toll on you.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
cost that
yeah.
it extracts from your soul or whatever.
Right, right. And like I
Yeah,
said, so yeah, I mean, it's a good like you see that all the time. Like you
yeah,
see
yeah,
that word everywhere. And again, I just started noticing it as as we were just kind of like paying it a little bit more attention
yeah,
to
yeah. It's like a
Lord of the Rings.
negative. It's like now it has like a negative connotation, whereas before it was like only a positive thing. Like, oh, this baby is precious to me.
Yo,
But now
dude,
it's
it's had
like,
Precious has had a negative connotation to me since 1977, bro. 1977.
oh, when you started watching the Batch.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, no,
sweet.
it wasn't Bakshi. It
Oh,
was
Batch.
Rankin Bass.
Oh, the
Like
Rankin Bass. Yeah,
when brother Theodore's like, "My precious."
my precious. Yeah.
It is my precious.
And I honestly think, and I don't know for sure, but I honestly think like Tolkien probably just when this whole thing first started, when he first started writing about Gollum in the 30s,
Yeah.
he just imagined this creepy, slimy guy who's like, my precious.
Yeah.
And it was only later, I think, that he probably like, oh, I wonder about that word precious. Let me look it up. Oh, heaven forbid, how fortuitous! It actually has this negative connotation too, or this other connotation too.
Yeah, I mean, considering how he started The Hobbit, like where it's just like, where the ring was just nothing but like an invisible ring. You
He
know,
didn't know, right? He didn't know its significance.
right,
But
right.
even though not knowing its significance, he still called it Gollum. Still called it precious, even in the 30s, before even Tolkien knew its
Yeah, but though
significance.
he Gollum could also have been referring to it. I mean, again, because he's talking to the ring, but he's also talking to himself a little bit. In Riddles in the Dark. I mean, because so he might have referred to himself as precious. I mean, I don't know,
Maybe
right?
like, I mean, there was definitely that thing where there's that Gollum Smeagol split.
Yeah, but I don't think that really happened until Lord of the Rings. I mean, because Gollum was Gollum,
What?
right?
No, but he's still talking to himself.
He's talking to himself. Yeah, there's a split, but again, I mean, Tolkien probably
Developed that
was
idea of the split
developed that
personality.
idea.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
but
again,
there's a
he's probably
seed
like
of it
this.
in the earlier
Yeah,
version. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But
interesting.
yeah. So let's keep on Gollum for a little bit. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But
okay?
just the
So,
fact that Isildur and Saruman said precious, there's more to that, because later on we'll talk probably about Saruman and how he's well corrupted by the idea of the ring, long
well,
before Gandalf even goes to visit him.
that's one of the other points that I want to bring up too is
Okay.
when did he actually um when did he start getting corrupted? And again, let's finish this Gollum and we'll jump to that.
Hmm.
Um, because they chased the last thing I want to say about Gollum is when the orcs freed him, they said they chased him almost all the way to Dol Guldur. You right?
Yeah.
So that was a long way. That was like how long? Like they chased him quite a
Wait,
distance,
he was.
didn't they?
You mean from where they rescued him from the elves?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. They said they chased him until they got to Dol Guldur, and then they had to split because,
Creepy place.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't go all the way to, but it was implied that was like,
Well, do you think the
yeah,
whole time they were like, "Oh man, we really messed up"?
yeah, yeah. The Gandalf's gonna be pissed off at us, so
Right.
we better.
That's probably why they were like so intent in getting them
He's
back.
gonna
Getting them back.
he's gonna bring the wrath of the fireworks down on us. So
Well, speaking of that, do you think it's kind of weird that Legolas like waited so long to tell everyone like, "Hey, we lost Gollum"?
yeah, yeah. It
Like
doesn't
this
seem like
whole
it's
thing's
almost an
going.
after. Doesn't seem almost like an afterthought. Like, hey, wait a
Hey, by the way,
minute.
it's like it's bad news, right?
Yeah, I
And it's
know. It's
like
like
he's like, I hope they don't talk about Gollum. I hope they don't talk about Gollum. It's like, oh, they're talking
like
about Gollum,
oh, so shit.
and he's like, by the way, I got some bad news.
I know. Hey, just so you know. Yeah, I mean, it's like, wouldn't that be
Tolkien
the
should have
first
said like,
thing?
on hearing this news, like Gandalf face palmed or
Yeah,
something.
we're like, oh, I just remembered, Gollum's gone. you
Oh, now he's like, oh, now I remember what I wanted to tell you.
No, no, no. I can't rode thousands of miles, whatever it is.
It's like, I rode thousands of miles, and uh, just this morning I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah. Oh, it's like it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm just gonna attend this council. I'll figure it out.
Jog my memory for me, please.
Yeah. It's funny though. He probably would can you imagine? He's like, hey, Gandalf, remember Gollum? Funny, I didn't remember Gollum.
Oh, that little guy.
Yeah. How did you feel about him? I mean, if he was
You wouldn't
gone, would you
you
really
wouldn't
care?
really miss him, would you?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know though. I mean, because Gandalf didn't seem too like he was.
They he wasn't described as throwing a fit or anything. He's probably just like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, it is.
He's a slippery little
He's
bugger.
he's got a role to play before the end of this thing, so we should be good.